Hey everyone, it's Denise. Thanks so much for being with us during the Caring Conference. Jessica's our final presenter, and she's going to help us heal when we are burnt. Thanks so much, Jessica. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Denise. Well, I hope everyone's still awake. I know it's been a long day. And so hopefully we can kind of pull everything together from the day in this presentation, because as I was listening throughout the day, so many things that I'm going to talk about can actually, be woven into kind of how you heal your way back from burnout. So I think it's great that I'm at the end, because I really feel like it can all kind of tie together here to heal our way, prevent, help others, no matter what role you're in. I know some of the participants here are family caregivers, some are professional caregivers. So, hopefully this information can serve everyone. And I hope I can figure out how to forward my screen. Oh, look at that. Look at me. So a little bit about me. I was trying to be a little funny here at the end of the day, so don't take my about me too seriously. But I wanted to keep everybody awake. So one of the things about me that is a little, I see more now in the world of Denise's world and people that are coming through different things, is that we're getting more professional caregivers who are also family caregivers, and that is me. I am a nurse and a caregiver coach. But I'm also a family caregiver, and I really, of course, family caregiving is dear to my heart. I feel like I've been a family caregiver since my younger brother was born. I was 7, I think, and he was born with developmental disabilities. So looking back, I've been a caregiver my whole life. I'm also a recovering codependent caregiver for my mother, who I continue to caregive for. She does have end-stage liver disease and has been very ill for the last, 13 years now. We never go into caregiving thinking that we're going to caregive for that long, but I'm also a fierce advocate and guardian for my younger brother, because my mother can no longer care for him because of her illness. So I am his guardian. He lives in a facility, kind of an intermittent care facility. I'm in the state of Illinois. So he lives not too far from me. Of course, I'm a people pleaser, peacekeeper, which I think all of us, in caregiving and in healthcare caregiving have a tendency to be peacekeepers, people pleasers, a business owner, mother of teenagers, total self-help junkie, because eventually I'll figure out how to fix myself, I'm sure of it. And a burnout expert, I feel, because one thing I know for sure is if you're a long-term caregiver, whether you're a professional or a family caregiver, burnout happens more than once. Because I thought, I'm through it, I'm done, I won't have to go through this again. Well, I've found that sometimes once it comes a little faster after the first time comes around. So that is a little, and in current new dog owner, I decided to then just pile on top of everything and get a puppy in the winter. That was so smart. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, love him though, love him. It's changed my life. Anyway, a little bit about my family. I, of course, helped my grandmother as well in the last years of her life. This is a picture of my mother and Diane, and my younger brother, Ken, is pictured here as well. So they have shaped my caregiving experience more than you know. One of the things that I'm trying to get my screen to move, it'll eventually go, I'm sure. One of the things that I have nursing background as a nurse on the floor. So I saw all kinds of caregivers come in. I helped them, got ready for them to go home. And then I moved into another side of my career, which was becoming a case manager, a nurse case manager, which meant that I was really helping caregivers and families go home, right? But as we all know, it's quick turnover. But I learned so much in that process that I thought, I can't believe caregivers don't know all this. I felt like I was giving them all of this information 2 minutes before they're walking out the door, right? And then when I really started to get into my caregiving journey with my mom, I thought, holy cow, like two different worlds are happening here, and family caregivers aren't understanding what's happening over here, and case managers aren't understanding what's happening over here. So one of my goals was to really kind of hopefully bridge that gap a little bit and bring understanding to family caregivers what's happening on the hospital side, and then hopefully come as a nurse to kind of explain the things that are happening on the healthcare side. So one of the things, or the things that we're going to go over today, is I'm going to define what burnout is, what leads to burnout. I think we all, may be a little experienced in that. Signs of burnout, and this concept of race to recovery, which is kind of an oxymoron, and you'll understand more as we go through the presentation. Somebody put it in the chat. This is interesting what Jessica means about recovering codependent caregiver. My mom and I have have had a turbulent relationship over the years. I think she needs to act the way that I want her to act. She wants me to act a certain way. It's taken me a long time to, as we've talked about today in so many different presentations, redefining our roles, redefining who we are, that kind of thing, setting up boundaries, those types of things. I'm still working through, so I can't exactly give you the answer to all of it, but we are learning to try to coincide and coexist healthy, and what does that mean for us personally? And I am always learning about how to set a better boundary in order to be able to allow her to do what she wants to do and age in place. So I'm going to come at this a little bit from a different point of view. A lot of the stories that we heard today are coming at it from the family caregiver point of view. I'm coming at this from a kind of a nursing perspective, kind of a scientific perspective, how our brain works and why burnout happens. I know everybody talks to us about burnout and, oh, you should take a bubble bath, and, oh, you should go get your pedicure and your nails done. Like, what does that have to do with helping me manage my life? Okay, yes, baths are great. I love getting a manicure. But for me, if I don't understand why something is, you can't tell me to do it. So don't tell me to go take a bath if I don't understand how that's really going to help me. If I don't have time for a bath is just going to make me feel bad if I can't take a bath. So why do I need to take this bath? And why do I need to get my nails done? And, all those kinds of things. And so again, this speaks to professional caregivers as well as family caregivers, because if you're a professional caregiver, whether you're a social worker, you're a nurse, physicians, patient care techs, any of those I don't care what role you're in, you can become burnt out, right? Now, personally, I've been burnt out on both ends, and family caregiving, you have that emotional aspect to caregiving, whether you're caring for your son or your children or your parents or your spouse. You have that emotional attachment that really brings everything to a whole new level. As a nurse, I'm trained to respond in a certain way. I'm trained to respond to an emergency situation, and I have exact things of what to do. I don't have emotion attached to that. That's not my mom that's laying there. That's not, my child that's laying there. It's very easily kind of separated, right? So as a nurse, when I started to care for my mother or my brother, and I had all this emotion attached, I was a mess. I was really like, why am I such a wreck? I should know what to do in this situation. I should be able to really clearly lay it out. And social workers probably have this issue too, as they're caring for their parents or whatever. You just can't, it's a whole nother story when your emotions are wrapped up into it. And you'll see why this happens as we talk about it a little bit here. So the definition from the Webster Dictionary, exhaustion, physical or emotional, motivation, usually, you lose your motivation usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. Another definition here is it's a state of physical, emotional, mental exhaustion caused by long-term involvement in an emotionally demanding situations, right? So you can see how this can be related to any job, any role, anything that you're doing. A state of fatigue or frustration brought about by a devotion to a cause, a way of life, or a relationship that failed to produce the expected reward, right? I can certainly remember when I went into nursing and I was so like bright-eyed and I had all these ideas and life was going to be great. And then you start to get into the thick of it. It's just like caregiving, right? And you start to be like, whew, this is not what I expected at all. I thought everybody was going to do what I told them to do. Why don't they? Like, why don't people do what I tell them to do? I don't understand. And then my definition, I would say, is more an exposure to a chronic mental or physical stress over a long period of time. And long period of time can be defined as whatever a person feels that is, with or without knowledge of how to process it or recover from it adequately from said stressor. So it's important to understand how your body works, because we understand how we react to stress, because without a ton of stress, you won't really get burnt out from what's happening, right? It's all of these stressors that add up to this big burnout situation. So we have, different reactions in our nervous system, and they're called sympathetic and parasympathetic responses in your body. And these are part of our nervous system, right? So they're important to understand, because a lot of what I've heard today are the responses that happen in our body and ways to calm those responses. So oftentimes in stressful situations, our sympathetic nervous system activates our fight or flight response during a threat or a perceived threat or danger, right? So I capitalize perceived because what you perceive as a danger may not be the same as what I perceive as a danger. So somebody can't say you shouldn't be upset about that, because that's what I'm thinking, is a danger. So our brains don't always know the difference between a tiger standing in front of us, right? So way back in the caveman days, our sympathetic nervous system was activated because a lion was chasing us, right? And what happens is we go into fight or flight. We have all these responses and we run, right? Well, now in the day and age that we're in, our sympathetic nervous system can be activated by watching the news. It can be activated by something our mother says to us, comes right to my head. It can be activated by an email that we get from someone from work. I've reacted very, physically to just reading an email. There's so many different things that I can think of in this day and age. Social media. Have you ever gone on social media and you've seen something and you're like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. Why am I not having a good time and this person's having a good time? All of those types of things, we start to compare and almost despair, right? And so our body will react, our sympathetic nervous system has been now activated, and we have a stress response. And I'll talk a little bit about what that stress response looks like. But then the other part of it is our parasympathetic nervous system, which restores the body to a state of calm, right? So if you have been in a chronically stressed situation for a very, very long time, you can see that your sympathetic nervous system has been activated consistently over and over and over again. So you are going to work, you're rushing to work, you're getting the kids out the door, your mother's calling you because you forgot to fill her pills the right way. You get to work, there's an email there that didn't make you happy. You have these chronic stressors, these little stressors all day long, and your body physically reacts. So you have a blood pressure increase, you have a heart rate increase. Another thing that's very interesting is your blood sugar increases. There's glucose released so that you can physically manage to respond. So if you did have a tiger chasing after you, you had a surge of glucose to give you that energy, right? Because glucose gives us energy. to be able to fight, right? We're getting ready to fight. And then while this is all happening in our body, and I always think of like when you're in your car and something happens in your car and you have to step on your brakes really quick, you can feel that rush of adrenaline just come through you. You can feel your heart pounding in your chest, your blood pressure rise, the whole thing. That is exactly what can happen. This is a physiological effect that happens during stress. And then what happens then is not, it's just prioritizing these important things in your system. And your immune system then gets kind of pushed to the back burner. Your immune system can't be doing what it needs to do, and your digestive system downgrades. Those systems just slow down. So if you're caregiving and you feel like you're chronically stressed, if you're a nurse and you're chronically stressed and you're constantly running on this fast pace all the time, you don't have the ability to fight infection, right? That's why they say if you're stressed, you get sick. If you're stressed, you have things like irritable bowel disease, right? Because your digestive system isn't being allowed to function because your body's just trying to survive. I don't want to get too sciencey on you guys, but one of the things that is interesting that happens, and you guys maybe have felt this before, but once that immediate threat goes away, like let's say you've gotten over the email and you're not going to respond right away, all of a sudden you're like, whew, I need a candy bar. Well, it's because you've used a bunch of glucose to respond to that situation, and now your body naturally wants to replace it. Now, knowing this information now, you can say, oh, that's a natural human response. You don't have to go get the candy bar. But people wonder why they're driven to eat, because you're constantly running, with these physiological effects happening to your body, and your body's way of balancing itself out is to ask for glucose, right? So that's why when people say, oh, when you're stressed, you can gain weight. This is one of the reasons why that can happen. And then if you have an autoimmune disease or any kinds of diseases that are activated, when your body can't function the way that it needs to, when you're under chronic stress, this is when your flares happen. So then, of course, the emotional effects of stress, which I think we can all, relate to. And I would love it if you guys would put into the chat, like, if you've been burnt out, what are the effects that you notice most, right? What have you done to note that has made you realize, holy cow, I think I'm heading for a burnout here. I'd be really, really interested to know if you guys know that you're burnt out. Maybe some people don't even know they're burnt out. But I think when we start to talk about the emotional effects of stress, I think a lot of people understand what we're talking about. But one of the interesting things is that your rational decision-making is blocked while your sympathetic nervous system is activated. So I often think of this saying I've heard before and would love to quote it, but when your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. And that's not to be rude, that is a fact, because your body can only do so many things, right? So your body is just trying to keep you alive and survive and fight or flight from this emergent stressful situation. Your frontal lobe of your brain is blocked, and it's a whole process in your brain. Your frontal lobe is blocked, and your frontal lobe is the one that helps you with your rational decision making. So you can't make a rational decision while you are emotionally charged. And am I talking about caregiving or no? So it's like everything is attached to emotion when we're family caregiving, right? And sometimes when we're in healthcare systems as well, there's a lot of emotions that do go into things, but it's really hard to separate because of these systems that are going on in our body. We have overreactions, aggression, fear. And then when we calm down, we let our brain kind of process the situation, because then our frontal lobe can come back into play and help us. So the thing that I want you guys to walk away with, the transformation I want you to understand, is there is nothing wrong with you if you don't act the way that you want to act in a situation. You have to understand that this is your body's way of functioning. And You sometimes get aggressive. You sometimes have an overreaction. Fear comes into play, and there is nothing wrong with you. You are human and your body is working like it's supposed to. So what do we do about it, right? We don't always want to have these overreactions. So I think a lot of people have said this in the chat. What are the signs of burnout? Definitely, I don't have all of oh, there it is. Physical complaints, headaches, illness, backaches. People are talking about it in the chat. Frustrated, feelings of emptiness, trouble sleeping, negative emotions, inability to manage your workload at work, right? And just inability to really step back for a moment so that you can rationally function, right? You get so burnt out from everything. So how do you heal if this situation is you? The way I knew I was burnt out was when I was taking it out on my FMLA case manager. I was screaming at her irrationally, poor thing. I just was not handling situations like I normally do. Every phone call, I could feel my body. And then maybe you guys can understand this when the phone rings. I have like this phone. When I hear the telephone ring, I have like post-traumatic stress. My whole body reacts, I'm like, oh God. And then when I know it's my mom, oh my gosh, it's a whole nother thing. So it's what you need to take some time and space. And how do you really heal? Well, I came up with this idea of race because I couldn't think of anything other. Race to healing, but racing, of course, then goes back to our sympathetic nervous system. But I think when we realize that is when we can feel it in our body, when we're constantly feeling our shoulders up, we can hear our heart beating constantly. We're snapping at our family. We're 5 steps ahead when we need to be where we are right now, because we're constantly trying to move. We're eating fast. We're running out the door. We just get so wrapped up that it's hard to really take a step back and calm down. You really don't show up for anybody when you're racing around like that. But I think that it's important to really slow down so that you can speed up. So you can, because we can't get rid of everything that we have to do. We've made a decision to be caregivers. We've made a decision to continue to work. We've made a, decision to do what we're doing. People get burnt out, and there's nothing wrong with that. I know I felt very bad about it, but you can only go at the pace that you're at for so long, right? And so I think it's really important that you need to start to reconsider some things. Reconsider how you want to show up in your day. How do I want to show up for my mom? Like a maniac? Or do I want to, while I'm in my car on my way over, how would I like to see things today, right? If she tells me I filled her pillbox wrong, do I want to scream at her, or do I want to be like, maybe mom? But that's where we have to take a step back and really take a breath and remove yourself from the situation and be able to calm yourself down. So knowing that your body is reacting the way that it's supposed to, you have to intentionally chase the parasympathetic response and slow your body down. And I think, managing your expectations of yourself. And I know I heard one time a friend say to me, oh, I have to do my dishes in the morning before I leave for work in case I die on the way to work. And my friends come to my house and they say I had a sink full of dishes. I'm like, who cares at that point? Do you really want to stress yourself out about the dishes and about cleaning the house? What is important to you and what do you have control over? And I think we've all learned that the only thing we really have control over is ourselves and how we show up to every situation, right? We do our best, but when I know that I can't control my mother and everything that she says to me, and when I know that, and I kind of take myself out of the story and I think, what is she thinking about right now? She's panicked because she thinks I filled her pillbox wrong. So maybe I have control over how I respond to her and just say, Mom, let's just take a look at your pillbox instead of getting angry that she's blaming me.
Jessica, I just want to give you a heads up that you're at 25 minutes.
Okay.
So you'll
Yep,
want
I'll
to.
wrap it up. And then I think it's important to ask different questions, right? Like, what are the facts of the circumstances versus the emotions? If you can like sit down for a minute and just really separate that, I know it's hard to do in a heated scenario, but really start asking yourself different questions and really kind of taking it yourself out of the situation. And then, you know, when you do that, you can say, what are my thoughts about it? What are my thoughts about it versus what is really true? And how do I want to feel? And how do I want to act? And then this is one thing I like to do after every crisis situation is really evaluate. And it's simple, you know, what worked, what didn't work, and what can I do differently? Because I will always give myself grace and say, yes, something did work. This didn't work, freaking out at the FMLA lady. What will I do differently? Maybe I need to take a break before I call an emotionally, call. And I know it's going to be an emotionally charged conversation. So then I can at least write it down. For me, writing things down is very helpful. And then of course, it's important to have a little bit of emotional flexibility. And I know that we all try our best to have that. But understand that there is no room for perfectionism. And the only method to sanity is by practicing compassion for yourself and know that you're doing the best that you can do, being mindful, slowing down, and pausing to observe and reflect. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
I just want to mention, thank you for giving us permission to sometimes feel like I just lost my mind.
Yeah.
Because we just judge ourselves so much in those moments where we think, oh my gosh, what was wrong with me? I just lost my mind. We literally had so much going on. We were just doing the best we could.
And it's your body's way of your body is trying to protect you. That's a natural reaction. And honestly, once I started to put myself in the situation of the people or become a caregiver and a nurse at the same time, it wasn't about me if somebody was yelling at me at work, right? It's about this person's reaction to the situation is all. It takes that, it becomes much less personal, right? I give myself grace and I give the other person a little bit of grace, and the whole thing is a little less charged.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you, Jessica. I think that was just a perfect way for us to end the day today.
Yes, and so many people today shared so many parasympathetic tools that we can use to counteract all of our nervous systems being charged all the time. So just understand that there is a rationale for those things, and it doesn't have to be a bubble bath. It can be art therapy. Right?
Yes, I know the bubble bath. I never get that, or the manicure, pedicure. I think that's nice, but I mean, like, what? Yeah.
Right.
Anyway. Okay, so everybody, I just posted the link for CEUs. You'll pay a flat fee of $20. You'll be directed to an evaluation form. When you pay your fee, stay on that same page. A message will appear that says, click this link to complete the evaluation. You must complete the evaluation. You have 3 business days to complete the evaluation. So click the link. It'll take you to the form where you pay, submit your $20, wait. Then click the link to the evaluation form, complete the evaluation form. And then it takes about 10 business days for your certificate to be emailed to you. And then I just want to post a couple other things for you guys. So I'm going to share our gifts spreadsheet for you. And you will also have an email with the link for gifts. So let's see, Jessica, I'm going to stop your sharing and I'm going to share our spreadsheet so you guys can see if you won. We've been announcing winners throughout the day, and then we have some door prizes. And because I know everybody is tired, I'm just going to show you what the spreadsheet looks like for the door prizes. So you may see your name as a winner. In addition, there's an email that's going out in a half an hour, and it includes a link to this spreadsheet. So you can also check to see if your name is on here as one of the winners. If you won, our presenters will be in touch with you next week to make sure you get what you want. And then the final gift that we have today is our free enrollment in our certified caregiving consultant training program. It's a $3,000 value. And Norma Brown, you have won. Norma, congratulations. Thank you so much. Norma, I will email you how we can get you enrolled. Yeah, I know, this is awesome. Okay, so I'll just leave this up for one more second before I stop sharing the screen with the winners. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat room just for another few minutes. I also want to mention that stay in touch with us on Caring Our Way. I've posted in our group, the Caring Conference, our next events that are coming up in October and November, along with the deadline to submit a proposal to present. So if you came today, loved what you saw, and you think, I want to be a part of this, consider submitting a proposal to present. Because the truth is, the presenters who presented today had attended previous conferences. So we'd love to have you join us. Okay, yay. Thanks, Norma. I'm so glad you won. And yeah, thank you guys so much. It's always just honestly a treat to be able to connect and share with you guys. We are so grateful that you join us. We're so grateful that you give us this opportunity for us to share insights and wisdom. And then we learn from you as well. So thank you all so much for sharing. Okay, and Carol is asking, where is the link? Carol, go ahead and ask me what the link is that you're looking for. And I'll share it again in the chat room. Oh, yeah, I had shared it and a lot of things happened. So it's way up. You just have to scroll up in the chat room, but I'm also going to paste it again. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing and paste it again. Oh, I did it. Oh, Deanne, you know what? And also, can we give a round of applause to Deanne, my assistant, who helped out all day long. She kept us organized. She ran down the hallway from the auditorium to the back of the house. She did it with such grace and ease, and she's always so happy to help. So thank you so much, Deanne. Thank you so much. Okay. I think we're good. There's an email that's going out top of the hour that includes a link to the CEUs, as well as a link to our spreadsheet with the winners. And again, the presenters will be in touch with you next week to share your win. And Norma, I'm so happy you won. I'll be in touch with you next week, Norma. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Yeah, there's some links that are all winners, and there's resources that are included on the spreadsheet that give you the links to all the free stuff too. Okay, thanks everybody.